Hey, network viewers. What would your day be like if you could watch your favorite network shows and view live streams when you are away from home? Download the official The V Network mobile app from the Apple App Store and Google Play Store. Search the V Network TV for iPhones and the V Network for Android phones. Receive notifications on upcoming shows, events, and network giveaways. Download it today. Don't be the last to find out what's going on your favorite network, the V Network.
Rich land of Otago, Alabama. We present to you 1186 real artesian water. Smooth, crisp, clean. All natural, no chemicals, no additives. Average balanced pH 6.9. The highest quality ultra premium water known to man. What are you waiting for?
Hello, 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 and welcome back to another in-home segment with the Who's Next show. Of course, I'm Mona Ricks, and I am so excited about our guests. As you all know, we always have someone new that we're spotlighting, whether it's the new artist, a new dentist, a new doctor, new entrepreneur, sometimes the next culinary chef, sometimes the next singer. Whatever it is, we know that God has given us a platform with the Who platform for others. So I'm very, very excited to introduce our guest for today, Miss Bambi Daniels.
Thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity, Miss Mona.
Yes, ma'am. It's my pleasure. Miss Bambi, I'm so excited. Thank you so much for... So, Ms. Bambi, we're going to just jump right into it. Please share with our viewing audience. Just tell us a little bit about you. Who is Bambi?
I am all things to all people. No.
Yes.
Well, I am a mother, a wife. Like I said, I'm an auntie. But most people know me as a home cook. I was one of the talented 10 that was chosen to be a part of PBS's Great American Recipe, which is an 8-week series on PBS.
That is awesome. So, I know that there's so much more to who you are, but let's just talk about, like, what did that competition, like, how did you get selected? How were you a part of it? Like, how did that even come about?
Well, in 2020, of course, the pandemic caused me to start taking photos of my food, and my husband, who's a noted photographer, Owens Daniels, he was like, well, if you're going to do it, you need to learn how to do it right. And we had enough time to teach me how to do food, as well as making sure my dishes were plated well. So I learned styling as well as food photography during the pandemic. And people started noticing what I was doing and started following me. And I tell everybody, with social media world, and children would tell me, you need more followers, But it's actually who follows you that makes the difference. And someone was paying to participate in the Great American Recipe.
Wow. So it wasn't even something that you pursued. It pursued you.
Yes.
I love that. The pandemic to so many people was an opportunity of creativity. Mm-hmm. The pandemic for so many people was an opportunity of self-discovery. It was also an opportunity of people being able to clearly take a moment and say, who am I and what do I have to offer to the world? The pandemic allowed individuals to really be able to say, what else could I do? I can't go to work, can't go to church, can't be in person, can't do so many things. And I think it caused people to really tap into, their inner creativity. My son, Devin Washington, started a whole business out of the pandemic.
Wow.
Called Sani King. So he does fog-like sanitation for churches, schools, and buildings, offices and homes to help fight against the spread of COVID-19 and other airborne pandemic.
Yeah.
Maybe there's no Santa King, right?
Yeah.
Just like with you, you decided, okay, I'm going to start taking pictures of this food. Were you always like a person who cooked and did things like that?
Yes, our family's love language is food. That's all we do. So I'm always cooking for everybody. And honey, throughout my life, I have been through everything. I have been on welfare, off welfare, on food stamps, off food stamps. So I was able to create large meals and beautiful meals on a budget. And so that was something that I was doing anyway. So during the pandemic, I was making meals for my family, and I said, hey, well, let me start taking pictures. And we can look at the pandemic and say, oh, it was a terrible time, which it was. Lord knows it was. But it allowed us to sit down and recreate ourselves and pull out of ourselves what needed to be pulled out at the time.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
And for us to sit back and go back to the old ways, go back to cooking, go back to being creative. And
that's one of those moments that the little flashlight or the light bulb goes off in my mind to say that to somebody who's watching and viewing this today, that don't let it be a tragic time or a world shutdown time, just to take a moment and go back to the things that matter, like family, like the cookouts and like sharing love and just cherishing those moments, because we all know that this show is not about COVID, but the pandemic, it took a lot of lives and it was serious. And the truth is that COVID is still present today. It's still spreading, it's still here, and if you want to take those moments to hone in and be like, God, what you want me to do? I remember one day I was sitting in my living room and I was like, I work from home already. So it's like, now there's no escape from work because I just got to stay at home. And I was like, Lord, what would you have me to do? And I heard this still small voice that said, talk to me. See? And I was like, I'm tripping, my bad.
You look like, okay.
I'm like, my bad. I was tripping.
That's you.
Right. Absolutely. So out of that, you started taking pictures, and from taking pictures, when did you start cooking? How long have you been cooking?
Oh, I've been cooking since I was knee-high to a grasshopper. Well, and my family, everybody cooks. I mean, even a little bitty baby has to do something. So you have to do something in our home where you sit down and, you put the baby down and the baby has to sort out the peas. Something you have to do. But actually, I started cooking at the age of 10 when my cousin Jimmy showed me how chicken backs. And for people who don't know what chicken backs are, chicken back is you take the hen and you cut off the leg quarters, and that part of the chicken is the back of the chicken, and she loved that. So he showed me how to season it, how to marinate it, and then cook it and bake it. And from there, he would show me little things of how to cook certain things and how to make it flavorful and watch, because not how we are taught to cook. I would say I think all ethnic people and African Americans, Black people, Mexicans, everybody, and especially country Southern folk, we are not taught to write down recipes.
Oh yeah, not at all.
We are taught to see and to smell, and we're taught from sight of how to cook. So, and that's what he taught me. Yeah, how to cook by seeing and sight.
That is so true. We don't do recipes. Just today, I have a 5-year-old granddaughter, and she loves eggs. And so my mother, her grandmother, her great grandmother has been teaching her how to cook eggs. So now that she's at my house, she wants to cook eggs. So I got her on the little step stool, and I got her there and all of that. And he starts recording just as I'm telling her, don't just pour the salt, get a little salt in your hand and pinch it and sprinkle it.
That's right.
So at 5 years old, I'm teaching her, look, we don't do no shaking. We sprinkle and we make sure that we get it just right.
It's right, because it's a pinch. It's a pinch, and put it in, just like you were saying, put it in your hands.
Yeah.
And you taste it along the way.
Yes, absolutely. So I love that when you think about it, goes from something that you've just always done, second nature, to now being like sought out and spotlighted. Like that's a whole different thing, because like I'm cooking all the time. I'm not taking pictures and posting it, but nobody's seeking me out for So it is to be duly noted, appreciated, applauded, and also honored. So when I found out, when Emma was just sharing and saying, hey, you're like, what? No, I've got to hear the story, because there's always a backstory to how people get there, and that story can bless and encourage someone.
Oh yes, I mean, I'm just doing, because I was sitting down with my husband, and I was like, we've always done this. We've always done it, because I mean, I believe that God just started recalling all the things that I had done at one night. And I was like, oh my goodness, where my son said everybody couldn't get McDonald's. He couldn't get McDonald's, but I had made him this wonderful lunch. And he was like, mommy, so and so can't get it. I said, well, how many people are there? And he was like, well, there's, how many football players. And so I said, you know what? I'm going to make wraps for everybody tomorrow. I made wraps. I made spaghetti dinners. I made sub sandwiches, so nobody would be left out. I even did it for my daughter, for her band members. It was just second nature. I would just feed them, and every time that the kids had a birthday party, we had food. It was not, I guess what people would call the traditional birthday party, when you go to Chuck E. Cheese. No, baby, you would be at the house and you would be Chuck E. Cheese. You would make your own pizza. So,
full course meal.
Yes. And I get that from my mother and from my grandmother and from my Aunt Azalee, who was just fabulous. She was our icon, as far as cooking fabulously. She did it. So to me, it was second nature. And my grandmother would always say, you aren't going to the store. You're going to eat home. And it was a treat to go to McDonald's, but it wasn't the same as the burger that was made. It was different, because when you make something, like you were talking about your granddaughter, when you were talking about your granddaughter making the eggs, she's going to remember that more than you taking her to a fine restaurant to get egg benedicts. She's going to say, grandma took time to show me how to make eggs.
Right. Absolutely. So where would you say, would you say that your food like has an inspiration, or is there a certain thing that inspires you to cook a certain way, or what's the story behind your meals, your actual plates?
What inspires me to cook is love. My grandmother said, your food is the reflection of you. So if you cook it bitter, it's going to come out bitter. No matter, even if you give somebody a filet mignon, if you're mad at them and you like, I can't stand them, that filet mignon, no matter how tender, how wonderful it comes out, it's going to be bitter, just like you prepared it. Wow. So you always prepare food with love, even if it's a sandwich, and it's prepared with love. It's the best thing that you've ever eaten.
Yeah. I love that. So let's fast forward a little bit to PBS. So you get selected, and then what does that process look like?
Craziness. I will tell anybody. I tell you, Lord have mercy. You know, Miss Mona. You know the behind the scenes is woo. It's something.
Look, no smile on that.
It's something. It is a process. It is a
Yes,
process. Anything that's great, it goes through a process.
that's true.
So yes, so the preparations, getting there and preparing ourselves and meeting everybody. And the week before we started taping, everybody's like, well, why are y'all crying? And when people leaving, because we've been with those
Right.
with them 24 hours a day. Only time we sleep for 2 hours and then we wake up and we start again.
Yeah.
So it was something. It was a once in a lifetime experience. I mean, it was a dream come true. I got to see the behind the scenes, the shows, and you're like, wow, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So going through that experience, what would you tell someone who, is like trying to find their way culinary wise, and maybe would like to be maybe featured on a show, or like what would you tell them about just their food, just the process? What words would you say to them?
Keep learning.
Mm.
Keep learning. Absorb everything. Watch everything. Pick up every magazine,
Mm.
every book. Just learn. Just become a sponge. And don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to try. Everything's not going to come out perfect. You're going to burn something. And it's gonna be nasty, and your family is gonna talk about you for the rest of your days. But but keep going, and be the best making eggs. And eggs is your specialty, honey. Make eggs 45 ways to Sunday. Just make them. Just make them and say that they're your specialty. I love making eggs. Hey, this is, I'm saying eggs because you talked about your granddaughter. But if
Right.
that's your specialty, make it. Make it and then add the other things around it. But yes, but be a sponge and learn from everybody. Don't be intimidated by people. Sit at their feet. Receive wisdom.
Yeah. That's life lesson stuff. Like
Mhm.
no matter what it is that we feel that we are called to do, or we want to do, or we're ordained to do, then that life lesson is be a sponge, be the best you can be, soak up all the information, sit at the feet of wisdom, gain. It's just like ministers and preachers. They spend time with the Lord, they're in the Bible,
Yeah.
they're seeking godly counsel. So whatever it is, the next producer, they're watching people who are producing now, they're reading books, they're watching movies, they're looking that I play in film production.
Mhm.
Continuity. I can look at something, and she walked in that first moment and her purse was on her right,
Yes.
on her right arm, and then when it cuts and through production they miss, now the purse is sitting on the desk, and I'm like, come on y'all, we can see that.
Yeah, we can see that, but then other people don't see it. So,
Right.
yeah, because that's what I went
Absolutely.
to. Yeah, I started in mass communication, audio, and visual production. So
Okay.
yeah, so I am the one that do the same thing at the movies. Be like, okay, she didn't have on there.
Right. Right.
Or you see that boom mic, and you're like, oh, it's right there.
Right. So from PBS to what's the direction? What's your focal point? What does Bambi have her eyes on now?
Well, I would love to interview home cooks,
Mhm.
chefs. I want to interview Miss Hattie. That's who I want to interview. I want to interview Miss Hattie, who makes those world famous pound cakes. I want to interview Uncle Buck that can take a raccoon and make you eat it all. That's who. interview, because we interview the Gordon Ramsays of the world, and we see the magnificent chefs, but it's really the mom and pop people that makes the difference, that made the people who they are,
Right.
made the doctors, the doctor, the world famous doctor, sat at somebody's table and ate those wonderful grits that their grandmama made. Everybody has to go and do.
So I totally agree with you, but what I want to do is, I know that everyone is excited to see some of the food and the images, and you spoke about your husband being a renowned photographer. So I know these are some good photos.
Yes.
So we're gonna cut to a commercial break and allow our viewing audience to see some of the beautiful food and the beautiful plates and platters that you've made. It's so crazy though, because I used to say, "Oh, food is so pretty," and I had an issue with food. Like I had this thing with food, me and food. Cut to a quick break and allow our viewing audience to see some of the beautiful food that you have created. So to my audience, I present the creation of Miss Bambi Daniels. When you see those pictures, it just makes your mouth water, makes you want to eat. I know, right? So Miss Bambi, now see, when we see those images, the next thing we want to know is like, how do we do this? How can we cook these meals? And I know you talked about something you would like to do as far as interviewing other chefs, but like for me, while I'm talking to you, I'd like to talk more about, you said about, making meals, like with maybe not so many resources financially. So I wanted to kind of like, let's make it fun and let's talk about a few meals that we could make, maybe if are low. Could you share some of those with us?
Oh, one of the meals that I love brunch.
Okay.
So you can make a fabulous brunch under budget.
Brunch under
Yes,
budget. Let's
under
do
budget. Because what you're gonna do is, instead of saying, "Oh, I'm gonna go and get the chicken wings," you're gonna get chicken thighs, and you're
it.
gonna cut out the bone. Yeah, now doing things under budget, you're gonna have to put in work. So you're gonna
Gotcha.
cut out, yeah, you're gonna cut out the bones, and then you're gonna make boneless wings. So you're gonna cut the meat, and then you bread it, and then you're gonna fry it, and then you're just going to use your Belgian waffle mix, and you're going to take like Pillsbury or Betty Crocker mix, like the red velvet or even the chocolate, and then you mix that with your waffle mix just a little bit, and then you're gonna have red velvet waffles, you're gonna have chocolate chip waffles, and so you have two waffles already for under the price of what, $5. Okay, so you got a whole array of waffles, and of course you have your confection, nary sugar, and you're gonna sprinkle that over there, and you've bought your tray of thighs, and you've cut those thighs several ways, and you have these wonderful chicken strips, which you're going to call boneless chicken wings, and there you are. And then you're going to go and you're going to get a pineapple, one pineapple, and you're going to cut that pineapple and make it beautiful, and you're going to get you some basil or some type of greenery. What I always go and get basil, and you can grow your own basil, or you can just go and get you a 99-cent stock of basil, and you put that on that pineapple, and there's your meal. You have two types of waffles, you have the chicken, and you have your fruit, and that's gonna serve about 4 to 10 people. Yes.
Now, Miss Bambi, I was picturing that, but I need to see that and watch you do that. As you were talking, I could see a show on the V Network just being birthed of us looking at brunch under budget or brunch on a budget. I
Brunch under
love
budget.
it.
Yes. And then you could do wonderful parfaits. You go and buy the big, large container of yogurt. That's about $3. And you're gonna get you some granola, and you're gonna crunch that granola up, and then you're gonna put your the granola at the bottom. You put your yogurt, your granola, and then you can get just a handful of blueberries on the top, and there you have it. You have your parfait that you can add to it. So we can do it under budget. Yes.
I love it because you have given me, like, I can see the visual. It's not like I have to have these great culinary skills to pull off what you just told me.
Yeah.
I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. So, when you think about how, oftentimes African American people, I'll say me and say us because I know about us, we don't really have recipes.
Yeah.
Do you have recipes written down, or is everything, because what you just gave me, you gave me 2 or 3 different recipes straight out of your head with the
Yes.
step to do, so do you have recipes? Do you have a recipe book, or
Now PBS taught me how to write down recipes because I don't. My family just shares it, and then you share it to the next person, and then the next person tells it, and like the African storyteller.
right?
That's in our DNA. So I need to sit down and write it because my daughter was like, "Mommy, give me the recipe to this," and I was like, "Listen, get on the phone, and we're gonna I'm gonna walk you through it," and that's what I did. She was
Right.
on the phone, and I'm walking her through it. So yes, few on my Instagram. That
Okay.
a few
Okay.
recipes. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm so blown away by it. Like, those, how you gave those quick
Mhm.
recipes and ways to do, what would you say to, and it's not just single mothers these days, we have single fathers too. What would you say to, that single parent, great meals like this, because this is 5-star restaurant type stuff that you're telling me that we can make with what, less than $15 or $20.
Yeah.
You know,
Because oh well, they're coming with their homemade meals. Let me tell you something. My kids would take their homemade meals, and everybody would be like, "Oh, well, can your mama bring me, a sausage burrito? Your mama can bring me a breakfast, a breakfast." I used to do the breakfast burritos for them. Can your mom just be creative?
because I want some.
Yes, take a cookie cutter, and for your little kids, take a cookie cutter and cut out sandwiches. Make dinosaur sandwiches, wrap them up, put them in a brown paper bag, and put eyes on the brown paper bag, and they are going to love you for it. They are going to love you for it.
I love it. I love it. Miss Bambi, we could go on and on with me just, talking to you about food, because I told you that I feel like I'm delivered from it, although I still love great food. Who doesn't?
Yes.
But I used to have a real serious thing about food, like real serious. It's not to be uttered at this moment how serious my food thing was. But
Yes.
even aside from that, behind every great artist, chef, minister, doctor, lawyer, teacher, there's always a mission. There's always a story, a motivation. Like, aside from food, what is the thing that you love to do? And is it integrated with food? What else is it about Miss Bambi that we don't know?
I love to encourage people to shine, to live their dreams out loud. I want you to live your best life. Live your best life. I'm telling you, don't be afraid to be you. And that's what I encourage everybody, because nobody can outshine you being you. So that's what I love to do. And most of the time I do it sitting with a meal, sitting at dinner time, because when you sit down with someone at dinner, walls come down, and
Yes.
you can talk to them. And like I said, I have been through everything, ups and downs, around and flip. There's nothing that you can say to me that be like, oh my goodness, you really did that? Because I have been there, seen it, and done it. So I encourage everybody, dust yourself off. You may have made a mistake. You hey, you are the best you ever gonna be.
Yeah.
So be it. It's just empty. Do everything that you can possibly do. Shine bright. There is a poem that everybody talks about. Who are we not to, not to shine? Because we do a disservice to other people not knowing our greatness. And I'm paraphrasing the poem, but we do. When we don't shine around people, or we put ourselves down, we're doing a disservice to other people, because they need to see you shine.
That's true. That's true. That's true. I love that, Miss Bambi, because the whole don't be ashamed. Don't be embarrassed when you don't have enough, because now you have the opportunity to be creative with what you have.
Yeah.
So I love that. That was so sweet. And I knew that I knew there's always a mission behind what people see as the masterpiece, right? There's always something else that's driving us. We bless the Lord for the gifts that He's given us. Aside from that, there's still something else. And to use food of all things as a way, when I'm eating, that I am in a comfort place. So it's like me being in a counseling session with the right food.
Yeah, you give somebody some chocolate cake, they'll tell all their business.
I believe it. I believe it. So, out of this again, I can just see, and I know it's another conversation for another day, but I can see another show coming out of this interview. And the Lord has blessed us many times at the V Network, as we're saying, finding out so many great things about them, and then we see a way that we can collaborate and that we can create Black excellence together, and that we can, encourage people, because our whole life, like you said, we don't want to die full. We want to die empty. We want to die poured out, that everything that we had to offer, whether it was collaborating with Miss Bambi Daniels, it was on PBS, whatever it is that we can do to make sure that we're doing our part to leave an imprint, a positive, encouraging imprint on the earth, then that's what we're here for, right?
That's right. That's right.
And with that being said, I would love for us to have a secondary conversation about this brunch under budget, or whatever we're gonna call it, because I would be like this watching.
Yes. Because you have to show your granddaughter how to make green eggs and ham.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, you got to chop up that spinach real fine. You don't add food color to anything. You just chop up that spinach real fine, and you scramble those eggs, and that's her green eggs and ham.
Oh my. Yeah. See, another fun way of, just get nutrition that's wrapped in it. It's goodness and nutrition. So
yes, you got to be healthy. You got to be healthy. Even though you have the great, because I'm Southern, I love sweets, but you got to have green. But you can't use certain foods, like you can't use certain gases to the car.
That's true. That's true. So Ms. Bambi, if we wanted to contact you, if our viewing audience wanted to follow you, how do we follow you? How do we contact you? Where can Ms. Bambi be found?
Oh, you can find me on Instagram at Fab Foodie Bambi. You can find me on my blog, which is fabfoodieclub.com. You can find me on Facebook at Fab Foodie Club. And you can also find me on Facebook at Sanji Bambi Davis Daniels. Every last one of those names. Sanji Bambi Davis Daniels on Facebook, and on YouTube, which I have a few videos. It's Fab Foodie Club as well.
So I love this whole stuff, like how you're telling us how to take these regular waffles and make them elegant, take
You
some
make
regular
fabulous
eggs.
food on a budget, child.
Yes, I love it. Yes, I love it. I love it. I love it. The more we talk about it, the more I'm into it. I can see it. Miss Bambi, I want to say thank you so much for spending time with me today. Thank you for allowing me in your home, and thank you for coming into mine virtually.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so we're gonna make sure that we stay in touch and talk more. But do you have any lasting words? Just any words of encouragement, words of direction, maybe a recipe, anything it is. What's your lasting words that you would like to share with the viewing audience from the Who's Next show?
Okay. The recipe I'm going to give everybody is don't live life bitter. Let me tell you something. There is so much joy in living. You can't live in the past. What's done in the past has been done. It
Mhm.
can't be redone. It can't be done over. So you got to let that go. Because if you don't let it go, it is going to destroy your present and it's going to.
Mm.
So bitterness is not a herb that you want to have for the rest of your life. Sprinkle sweetness within your life and a whole lot of joy. And I promise you, your days will be long and you will have.
A recipe. Look, that's a recipe for life. Yes, there's a
Yeah,
scripture that I used to use as a prescription for life.
yeah,
The scripture was in Timothy where it says, add to your love kindness and to
yeah,
your kindness patience, And so I just love that. That was so beautiful, Miss
yeah.
Bambi. And I would love, love, love for us to be able to continue and figure out how we could collab together and do something fabulous with food.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Yes.
Yeah, I would
So
love to do it.
yes, to our viewing audience, I just want to say thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for being here. I hope and pray that you took a recipe with Bambi, said something that touched your heart and also gave you ideas on how you can be creative with your family. But thank you again for tuning in. Ms. Bambi, thank you so much. This
Thank
is Mona Rick,
you.
Who's Next show. We'll see you next time.
Bye
Bye.
bye, guys.